Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for some, we can't watch the same fighters perform forever. The change of generations happens constantly and independently of us. So headlines like, "Wow, this is the coolest debutante in the history of the promotion," are constantly flashing and are already boring. But there are some guys who still prove their hype by becoming superstars. One of them is Chechen Viking Khamzat Chimaev, who recently moved up to middleweight, where a new threat is waiting for him. Bo Nickal is a top-level wrestler, not so long ago signed to the UFC. The guy has had only 2 fights in the league and already claimed that he will stop a monster like Khamzat. But what is he really capable of, and where did he come from? Let's find out. Wrestling in college days. It's not that rare that we see cool guys with cool college wrestling skills make the transition to the MMA, right? There are dozens of All-Americans in the UFC alone, but Bo Nickal was able to stand out from them. He started wrestling in high school, graduating with a record of 183-7, and then went to college in Pennsylvania, where he started smashing everyone, including future NCAA champions, from his freshman year. Over the years, Bo Nickal made many appearances at the very popular and prestigious Big Ten championships, as well as at the NCAA Division I level, where he took only silver at the beginning of his journey. All other years were exclusively gold. After becoming a Pennsylvania legend and graduating from college, Bo decided to compete exclusively in freestyle wrestling and first headed to the US Open in the 202-pound weight class, where he had never competed before. Having made this decision, the future MMA star secured his victory and left no chance to his opponents in 5 fights. After that, the guy decided to fight for the opportunity to represent his country at the World Championships. Having won several important bouts, Bo became the main candidate for participation in international competitions, and at the same time, one of the favorites of the tournament. Already at the championships, Bo Nickal easily defeated 3 opponents and then reached the finals together with the 2018 Russian champion, to whom he had already lost before, but was able to take revenge and win the whole championship. Olympic potential. A guy with such a wealth of knowledge and experience shouldn't be ignored. So when the selection trials for the 2020 Olympic Games began, Bo was at the top of the list. As we remember, the pandemic destroyed all plans, so the games were postponed, and with them the qualifiers. During this break, Bo Nickal also wasted no time. In addition to wrestling, he started to master grappling. After some time, the guy decided to have his first official fight, and not with some veteran or a newcomer like him, but with Gordon Ryan. For those who aren't fans of the grappling world, starting out competing right away against Ryan is the same as debuting against Jon Jones. Bo Nickal wasn't given any chances, but he was able to last almost the entire allotted time. But Ryan finished him off just seconds before the end, and more than decent performance. When the time came to prepare for the Olympic selection, Bo Nickal chose the 190 pounds weight class and had a very tough first bout. So things got easier for him from there though. In the finals, where the strongest was to be determined, Bo shared the mat with another Pennsylvania legend, David Taylor, who was on a 45-win streak and was not going to lose even to the skillful Bo Nickal. Bo lost both bouts and his Olympic potential remained unrealized. Career in MMA. Realizing that he had nowhere to go further as a wrestler, Bo decided to change his profile and try his luck in mixed martial arts, which had gained popularity in recent years, where he first had 2 fights as an amateur and then immediately moved to the professional level. Stars of such level as Bo are noticed immediately, so it's not surprising that the promising fighter got a fight not somewhere in the forests of Oregon, but immediately at the tournament of Icon FC promotion, which was held under the wing of Jorge Masvidal. The opponent in the debut was a certain John Noland, whose name is not a sin not to remember. You know, from national level, wrestlers you usually expect a takedown in the first seconds or at least a clinch, but this damn psycho broke all the rules and threw a high kick in the 5th second. After that, Bo started throwing accented straight punches from a left-handed stance, repeated the kick to the head, and then met his opponent with a terrible cross. The guy overlapped and jumped to his feet, where Nickel added a right side blow. A powerful hook sent the fighter into a dead knockout. And this is the debut of an elite fighter? Am I dreaming? We knew Bo Nickel was a tough dude, but to knock people out, maybe he's been in the wrong sport his whole life. After seeing what the new guy was doing in Masvidal's promotion, Dana White and his people immediately started snipping Bo's phone, and it was soon announced that the guy would be taking his next fight on the Contender Series. Have you ever seen anything like this before? A dude with a 1-0 record can just win one fight and end up in the UFC. The American was scheduled to meet his opponent on August 9, 2022, and the young knockout artist Zachary Borrego, with a 6-2 record, was chosen as the victim. Bo flew to his feet in the first seconds, and that's just what we could have been waiting for. A brilliant pass to put his opponent on his back. But Zachary quickly got up and got caught in a guillotine. The takedown was purely symbolic, as there was no body control, but seeing how much effort Nickel was putting in, you'd think the guy would tap. However, no. Borrego was able to survive, but found himself pinned at the net, where a relentless submission machine had already taken his back and was preparing to choke him out. Bo couldn't break under his opponent's neck, but he decided to turn a blind eye on it and slam the lock right on his jaw. The pressure there was frightening, and Zachary was patient for a while, but he did give up. Victory in just over a minute. After such a discouraging performance, it made sense to the guy for the UFC to sign him, but Dana said he wasn't hiring people with a 2-0 record and offered Bo another fight under the Challenger Series banner. The former wrestler wanted to get into the best league in the world, so he had no choice but to accept the offer. This time, the fight was given for September, and the potential opponent was Donovan Beard, an American with a 7-2 record. Once again, Nickel started the fight in the stand-up, but this time he didn't spam a lot of kicks and straight punches, but waited. What exactly he wanted was unclear until the 28th second, when a left punch landed exactly in Beard's jaw. And what do you think? The guy fell down. It's unclear where this mutant got such beastly power from, but he didn't stop after the knockdown. Looking at another flashy finish, Bo immediately flew into a mount, and Donovan started to turn around. But the king of this evening didn't let him finish. Nickel threw a triangle, rolled over onto his back, and pulled his opponent down with him, finally closing the choke. The legs were wildly tensed and didn't think about relaxing, so the guy had no choice but to tap. Nickel had less than a minute to get the win and then got that coveted UFC contract. The guy then turned out to be a real phenomenon. Then Bo Nickel was ready for the fight only by the beginning of March, before which almost 6 months passed. Perhaps the guy was joining the USADA pool or had other concerns, but all this is not really important. The main thing for us is the name of the first opponent. The luck to welcome the hype prospect went to the Nightwolf Jamie Pickett, on a streak of 2 losses in a row. Not the top, but objectively the best opponent in Bo's career. Bo again starts the fight with high kicks and slips. Raising to his feet, Bo Nickel rushed to find his opponent's legs, but Jamie worked back quite competently and prevented himself from being taken down, pressing himself against the cage instead. The clinch dragged on a bit, but then a knee to the balls from the debutant sent Pickett scrambling in pain, and a second later, he was flying to the mat. It's not clear whether Bo hit him that way on purpose or not, but it's worth recognizing that the takedown came only after a nice knee to the groin. In a few seconds, Nickel gave a series of chokes, guillotine, dark choke, choke from behind. Each of the attempts were hastily executed and didn't look too professional. Realizing that breaking his opponent's jaw like he did at the Challenger Series would not work, Bo switched to an arm triangle, where he tried to close for more than a minute, and only when he finally got a favorable position did his opponent tap. A controversial but certainly colorful debut. In fact, Bo's performance caused a mixed reaction from fans, with many immediately starting to talk about the fighter's overrated status. As if in response to these words, matchmakers immediately gave Nickel not the most dangerous, but definitely not an easy opponent, Tresean Gore. He was the star of the last season of Tough and was considered by many as a potential winner of the season. But Bryan Battle took all the laurels and left Tresean with nothing, in addition to giving him the first defeat in his career. After that, Mr. Vicious managed to fly into a knockout, but then finally scored his first win. The powerful guy was supposed to be worthy tests of Bo's hype, but in just a few days, it became known that Gore will not be able to fight and will be replaced by a certain Valentine Woodburn. The interesting thing is that the guy's record was 7-0, and by status, he was the champion of a small promotion Combat Night Pro. Nobody gave him a chance, but everyone expected at least a bright show. This time, Bo surprised on the bright side. His first action in the fight was 2 fakes on the leg pass, which Woodburn clearly remembered. Next, the fighter flew in with the strongest straight, just like in the second fight on the Challenger Series, but his opponent held the punch for a while. That didn't last long. As it turned out, after the straight punch, Nickel immediately exploded with the right hook and Vel staggered. Without arranging an exchange of rushing to his feet, Bo added a signature straight, another hook, and a straight again. This amazing combination was enough to send the debutant to the ground. A classy win and a record of 5-0. Right now, no fights have been announced for Bo Nickel, which is not surprising because not much time has passed. The fighter himself wants to deal with the king of hype, Khamzat Chimaev, who is just moving up to middleweight. But I don't think this fight is possible. The thing is that in case of his victory over Costa, Chimaev will most likely not get the title or will be one step away from it. And why the hell does he need some Bo Nickel? That said, even if the guys get put together, I don't know who you have to beat to bet on Bo in this fight. Yes, he's talented and very strong, but his game is too far from perfect. He often relies on his bull power without thinking about quality submissions, and in the stand-up, he's better than he could be, but even an average kicker with wrestling defense, better than Jamie Pickett, is very likely to pick Bo apart. A perfect example of a near top 15 fighter with those skills is Brad Tavares, who moved into the role of rookie tester a long time ago. But again, I wouldn't bet on Nickel here, but that's my personal opinion, and I'm not calling you to anything. What potential do you think Bo Nickel has in the UFC? Can he be a star? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.